Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Iconic Repaints, back with a new video finally. I've been neglecting this series, and so I'm going to try to change that today. This is going to be a new video in the X Plus figure review series. Today I'm looking at the X Plus 30 centimeters of MechaGodzilla 1975. This is my favorite incarnation of MechaGodzilla. He's basically appeared in every Godzilla series. So the 70s were when he made his big introduction. He was basically Godzilla's last big bad villain before the first series, the Showa series, ended. Of course, he got rebooted in 1993 as part of the Heisei series. He did, and then he had an arc in the Millennium series. He finally showed up in the Legendary series. So MechaGodzilla is kind of one of those characters that, as if Godzilla is always going to be around, MechaGodzilla is always going to be around, at least some incarnation of him. But this was always my favorite one. Something about, first of all, I love the Showa series. It's my favorite series of Godzilla movies. It's just a wide, diverse variety of different movies and kind of like different atmosphere and feels and everything like that. And MechaGodzilla in the 70s was a cyborg robot monster that was, I guess, created by these Planet of the Apes ripoff space monkey dudes that could turn into or blend into like under human skin. So of course they want to take over the Earth, and the first thing they had to do is get rid of the main Godzilla by using a robot MechaGodzilla. And so he part of it is nostalgic. I mean, it was one of the first movies I watched as a kid that got me into the series. I think it was the first one, actually. And he's got such a very evil and sinister look about him. Once again, like, X Plus does a really good job of capturing that. And one thing I kind of notice is, and this is really excellent detail on X Plus's part, they actually not only capture the design perfectly, but they capture the creases in the folds in the suit to replicate the fact that it's a rubber suit being worn by a man underneath. So that's something that kind of comes up in like these figures. Often you'll see like the bagginess of a suit, and X Plus will replicate it rather than kind of making it look more streamlined and natural looking. And a lot of fans are really thrilled about that. They think that's like really excellent attention to detail, and it is. But personally, I kind of would rather they didn't do it, but that's just my preference. I'm not going to skip on getting a great figure for something like that. I mean, it really is minuscule. It just happens to come up with this figure because the gigantic MechaGodzilla has come out, I think, last year, and it had like a really kind of like a limp arm. And to me, it's really distracting, but to other fans, they're like, oh, it's really accurate to like the way the suit looked. But I'm like, you could definitely pick a still or an image from that another part of that movie where the arms look perfectly straight and real looking, and make the figure based off that. But it is what it is. I mean, with Godzilla figures, they do like the neck holes, so like like the guy inside the costume could breathe. Just sort of things like that. So they've done that quite often. Sometimes I find it distracting, but that's just me. So this MechaGodzilla is, of course, armed to the teeth, like most MechaGodzillas are. He's got the missiles on his toes, on the kneecaps, the fingertip missiles. His little chest piece opens up where he would shoot like the little lightning beam thing. Of course, he shoots lasers from his eyes in the movie. He spins his head around really fast to make like a force field. He's just overall ridiculous as far as an enemy goes. There's really, he's just got powers coming out of his ass. But just a really evil and cool looking monster. This is the classic OG MechaGodzilla, so I had to get this one. I used to have the Kiru, which was the MechaGodzilla of the early 2000s. I eventually sold that just because I started scaling down my collection, and I kind of got to the point where, like, instead of getting like kind of overwhelmed by all these things going on, I wanted to keep it as far as like the other monsters go aside from Godzilla. I wanted to keep it like kind of one incarnation of those monsters on my shelf. So like I'll have like one King Ghidorah, one Mothra, one Anguirus, one Rodan, just to keep for my own sanity and well-being. So when I did scale down, it was the Kiru that I ended up selling, and I kept this guy. So I originally had the MechaGodzilla 1974, which was really cool because it also kind of came with like a base for him to stand on, which it needed because the tail was kind of making him off balance a lot. So, but I was just happy to have like a cool little base because instead of like a clear plastic stand, it was like a little part of like, you know, it was like a little piece of land with like little trees and sand and stuff like that. I thought that was cool. That was different. But once, for some reason, when these got distributed again by Diamond, Amazon had these guys on the sale for like $100. So I picked up one of these, and I think I sold a MechaGodzilla 1974 for like $350. So obviously it was a really good swing financially in my favor to go with this guy. And the differences in the suit itself really aren't all that crazy, but I do like the way kind of like, I think this color scheme, I think it is a little more worn looking and detailed. So overall, I think I made the right move. It's still, you know, one of the most iconic Godzilla characters that's ever been made. My favorite rendition of him. So yeah, this is the X Plus 30cm MechaGodzilla, like I said before, the 1975 edition from Terror of MechaGodzilla, the last film, in fact, of the Showa series, before Godzilla would kind of go on a hiatus for 15 years and come back in the 80s. Yep, so, you know, X Plus did a great job with him, as usual. I can't really find any part of him that doesn't look right or accurate. So, you know, I think they really hit it out of the park with this. And unlike most of the X Plus Godzilla figures, there is a little bit of posability with this guy. I mean, his hands do spin, his head spins and turns, his jaw moves, and the little chest panel thing comes out, but it's a pain in the ass for it to come out, so I don't really touch it. I don't really mess with, you know, this guy at all, to be honest. But yeah, so that's it. That'll about do it for this guy. I'll try to keep these coming up at a faster rate than what it's been. I apologize. Thank you all for the wait. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe. Have a good night. Peace.